Life show, hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life show. I am your host, Frederick Entenmann, and we're already on episode 8. I am a former professional athlete, best-selling author of Surviving Sports in the Game of Life, and coach and consultant. And I help athletes, executives, and future leaders achieve mind, body, and life harmony. I'd like to welcome you to episode 8. And what I'm going to talk about in this episode, I'm going to talk about why most people are not achieving what they envision for themselves, and kind of the laws of manifestation. I know a lot of people might be saying, well, laws, what's that? Well, if you've ever studied quantum physics, which I know can be a little overbearing, and if you've never been exposed to it before, it's also criticized with mystical woo-woo. Well, we're talking about the laws of the universe, things that, Tesla and Albert Einstein studied. And it's all that basically that can possibly exists in the eternal moment of now or here. And that's more or less what I want to stress, not necessarily physics, but how just to get more out of your life. I mean, I am a human performance specialist after all. So my intent's not to overwhelm you with some new jargon. It's rather to give you some insight and skills to move you forward in this new year. So I'd like to start with the I am statement. I'm healthy, wealthy, strong. And, even version of you that is wealthy or experiencing, I'll just use wealth or health or a strong mind. If this already exists, if you're not experiencing health or wealth or strength right now, you're just not conscious or awake to it. I don't take that personal. It's more or less when you choose to be a certain state in the now, as opposed to, hey, maybe you had it in the past, and people tend to dwell in the past, or maybe you're thinking of it in the future, and people are dwelling in the future. I want to make it very clear that right now, in this moment, or presence, is where the power is actually at, because you activate the fastest forces of creation when you're in that moment and you're aligned. So what happens then is that you immediately move your consciousness to that other you. And in this case, what I'm talking about is the healthy, wealthy, strong you. Being is the fastest way to create things because it causes that shift. And when you get aligned and when you're in the now, you can feel it. I say to my clients all the time, presence is power. And that's one of the first things I work on. We live in an age of distraction. I'm pretty sure 9 out of 10 people that I encounter have monkey mind and just all over the place. Material manifestation follows instantly to the degree that you have become that state without doubt. That is the key. That is the law. Again, to the degree that you become that state, healthy, wealthy, or strong, without doubt, your reality will quickly shift to reflect it. And I know, trust me, I know, as impossible as this may sound right now, it will all make sense when you consider that the real workings of this universe that we live in, especially after reading anything about quantum physics in conditional laws of the universe, you'll begin to understand. But I'm telling you, the fastest way to create is just to simply be, and just be here right now, whatever you wish to create, and then don't negate it by thought. You don't even think about it, and I call it the flow. You're just being in the moment, and then all of your thoughts and words and actions after that should be one of that new state that you choose to be. You catch my drift? If you're not wealthy, healthy, or strong, for example, and you wish to become healthy, wealthy, and strong, just decide right now with your soul's intent, with your heart's intent, to be healthy, wealthy, and strong from this moment of now. Then do not then start to think about it, just choose to be. And then from then on, all of your thoughts, all of your words and actions should be of this healthy, wealthy, and strong individual. And I know that sounds strange, but in the ultimate reality, this is not a lie to you when you have complete conviction of that. You're actually all things anyway, even though you may be experiencing the small sections of it all. So by choosing to be something else, causing your environment and circumstances to shift to the experience of that new state. I hope that makes sense. I use me becoming a professional athlete of that example all the time. I decided one day I wanted to be that, and it was so strange how my performance suddenly elevated and I became that. It really was that simple. I then had the behaviors to back that state, if that makes sense. So remember, thought comes from being. In a state of being, it causes thought. I really want to stress that. So, for example, a state of hunger causes thoughts of hunger. Being in the first cause. I mean, being is thought is doing. Being just is. Being takes no time to be, but thought, actual thought, takes time to do things into being. So the fastest way to health or wealth or strength is being. Health, wealth, and strength now, instantly. Make a decision. Change your being to a healthy one. Change your being to a wealthy one. Change your being to a strong one. Do so by deciding right now and knowing it to be so with absolute certainty and clarity, against any evidence to the contrary in your physical world, which actually all the doubts that we have, they're illusions anyway. So do it with certainty and clarity and keep holding that state of being. It's a practice. This is not a genie lamp, okay? This is a skill, it's a practice, and it's a mindset. So you have to practice this state of mind. And then knowing you're healthy or wealthy or strong, for in ultimate reality, you really are actually very wealthy, healthy, and strong. And you'll quickly begin to experience it. And I know not many can pull this off because the doubts are there. The hardwiring of all the doubts, kind of like a thicker network, which we have to undo. But we all have the capability to do this. Just simply declare, and knowingly and certainty. I love to use I am statement. When you declare I am, and then don't start thinking about it over and over after that. That'll only introduce delay and doubt. That's what I mean. Remember the last time you were in a state of, let's just say, being broke or sad, you didn't consciously think about that state or question whether it's real, whether you're really broke or sad, right? You just took it for granted that you were, and you believed it unquestioningly, that you're just that state, and that's all there was to it. You simply were it. And now do it with wealth. Now do it with health. Now do it with inner strength. Be wealth, be health, be strength. Believe it and make it as that is, that no questions asked. And you won't believe what happens. The universe will actually obey. It's the sequence of creation. It's the almost like I know it's known as the field of consciousness. That it's like the non-physical units in science. These units that take on the energetic field of thoughts, then take on individuated physical. This is proven. The forms that come out of thought, become objects. They become people. They become beings that we see. And whatever it is that you see physically is actually created in a sequence form. And that's what I'm just going to refer to as source. You are essentially the co-creator in this creation sequence. You create together with this source in the same sequence. So in regards to wealth or health or whatever it is, strength, therefore you can now see how futile it is to look at your individual physical aspects, like your bank account or your body or your mind or your material wealth that surrounds you, your network, and then let what you see influence your individuated non-physical aspects, like your mind, your thoughts, your state of being. And that is looking at the results and letting that influence the cause. It's kind of like short-circuiting this neural system. And it will only lead to enhancing of that physical state. For example, I know that everything that I'm mentioning might be a little overwhelming, but if you look around you, okay, and see that, hey, I don't know, maybe you're broke, maybe you're in a mental state that you don't desire. Maybe your body and wellness is not where you want it. And you let that dictate to you that you're a broke being, you're a sick being, you're a mentally unstable being, for example. And you keep thinking from that broke point or unstable point of reference, and you think broke thoughts and unstable thoughts and weak thoughts and thoughts of inability. Guess what? You're going to remain that. You're going to remain broke. You're going to remain sick. You're going to remain unstable. And the right way to do this is to never look at the ground, never look at the physical and let that dictate to you that this is who you are, because it's not true. Yeah, okay, you've created that, and that's okay. That's life. But what I'm offering is to bring awareness to that. And when you have the awareness, it's really getting out of that victimhood mentality and taking personal responsibility for moving forward and getting out of it, because you have the power. We all have unlimited power. It's a matter of just taking the action. You're not your conditions. You simply cause them. The correct thing to do, if you're broke, for instance, is simply choose your greatest vision of yourself, a vision of great wealth, and keep that state of being of wealth or health or strength. Keep those thoughts steady and ever present. Act as if you were healthy, wealthy, and strong, no matter what the physical looks like, no matter how broke your physical world looks like. This will turn around the physical to match your thoughts and state of being. I promise, it works every time. And always remember, the physical follows the spiritual, the mental. It is the design. It's the law. And one way of creating things in this world is by thoughts, words, and then action. If you replay this, you can see I actually went in that sequence. That was my intent to kind of put it in that order. But this is a slow way to go about things. The faster way is just by changing of state. That's why I love wellness. That's why I love, if you listen to any of the, I'll just say, A-list human performance specialists out there, they all talk about physiology. You change your physiology, you're changing your state of being, right? For example, when you say you're hungry, again, that's a state. When you're confident, that's a state. You are being. You need nothing outside of yourself to be of a certain state. So to acquire fitness or health or wealth or mental acuity, it's much, much more effective to be in a state of health and wealth, to make your being one of health and wealth, to feel healthy, to feel wealthy, and to think healthy and wealthy. You also have to be an actor. Speak and act healthy, wealthy, and strong. You'll have a hard time becoming these things if you feel the opposite, so poor or weak, and then think and speak and act wealthy. Your state of being, or how you feel about yourself, your being, these I am declarations that I stress so much. This is the fastest way to acquire the health and the wealth and the strength. Everything you want. The way you change your state is to just decide to change your state. It's quite simple, actually, and you can do it now. It's kind of like being unhappy and simply deciding that you're tired of being unhappy, and then you just turn the day around and suddenly everything's happy. Has that ever happened to you? I think everyone's done this before. You have to think of a reference. For me, there's a point in time where my father was a multimillionaire with his company and lost it all. And I was 12 years old. We lived in a pretty dainty home, and I was a BMX racer. I did the circuit. I paid for everything with my paper route money. I obviously did very well, but there was a bike I wanted, and I cut a picture out and I put it on my wall, and I'd look at that picture and get into the feeling of what must feel like to have that bike. And it was just a bike that I knew my parents, there's no way they could possibly afford to get that for me. It was top of the line at that time in 1987. And the more I practiced this, lo and behold, I come home from school one day, and the bike, I kid you not, is sitting in the living room, staring right at me. It was my first real authentic experience with these laws. So I know they work, and I just went on to practice those with sports, with relationships. Expect to experience massive success. Always maintain that state of knowing, and you'll experience abundance of whatever you want. It's creating those expectations, knowing at this level it causes attraction and removes that repulsion. This is really important. So expect massive success. It's a mindset. Know yourself to be of such power, because a lot of people I work with, they don't know their power at all. Then when they step into it, it's really an amazing transformation. You can remember the past and look toward the future, but you can only be yourself in the here and now. And your being can only be here and now. Being, manifestation is only here and now. I hope that makes sense. It drives me nuts how millions of people consume their waking hours trapped in their daydreams or worries and their non-present moment, or these compulsive thoughts in their minds that just go round and round in their head. The majority are really negative. That's why nothing ever happens for individuals. Nothing ever comes out of lower vibration thoughts. They keep you down. They're, these individuals can be awake, but very unaware of their full surrounding in the here and now. So I always say, just wake up and smell the coffee. This type of waking up, it really will produce a pronounced. It's an amazing change in your life if you start practicing this. Try it and commit to waking up one day at a time. And this combined with I am, present tense, thought and visualization, it's an amazing speed boost for achieving your desires. I'd like to read a little bit by James Allen. James Allen said, "What you are, so is your world. Everything in the universe is resolved into your own inward experience. It matters little what is without, for it is all a reflection of your own state of consciousness. It matters everything what you are within, for everything without will be mirrored and colored accordingly." Again, that's by James Allen. For those of you that don't know, I pursued a PhD in literature. Actually, it was in German literature, to be specific. I went to 2 German universities, so I'm very dear and close to literature and writing and the written art form. So going back, to get wealthy or healthy or strong outside, get wealthy, healthy, and strong inside using the sort of information that I just spoke about, or start reading books that have to do with this sort of thinking to kind of get you in that, to give you a reference and to give you that frame of mind. To get to billionaire status, you'd have to raise your images and certainly to equivalent levels and act with such certainty with your purpose, infusing your actions. So the world of a billionaire that is inside of you, and nothing and no one slows you down or speeds you up except yourself. So to the extent that you recognize this, okay, you will change your world. Wealth is health or mental strength. It's a whole lot easier to acquire than one believes it is. It's actually simple. That's actually what I mean. If you ever hear me say get out of your way, it's what other experts say when they say get out of your way. It's getting out of your own self-imposed thoughts that keep you trapped. The hardest part of actually the acquisition of things that we want, it's the taming of your own mind. It's a thing that's totally within your own control. So it's the practice. Trust me, I know I might be making this sound easy, and it is, but I battle with it as well. I'm human. It's actually correctly said that success is something you attract by the person you become. So I get questioned all the time. What is being? You can't think being, you cannot act being, you cannot talk being, you can only experience being. Being is nowness, it is isness. It just is, and it's what everyone's gotten away from, is that presence. Being is being completely conscious. I think from Eastern standpoint, a common saying is being is of no mind. some of the most present people I've ever met. They're just there. Wherever they go, there they are. Being is of no mind. There's nothing else going on up there except the present moment. And in fact, sometimes mind can destroy being what you wish to be. Being is something you choose to be right now, not later, but now. When you start thinking about it, you actually destroy it. So once you are, you are. Any thought after that should not be about whether or not you are. It should only be to fulfill that state of being, to experience it rather than determine it. And it's often a good idea to be of no mind. Just another thing that I do is teach people how to be still. In a huge practice that you can start right now is to just meditate. Just be still. Thinking has its position, okay? Thinking is a tool, just as your arm or leg is a tool. But you do not use your leg all the time. You only use it when it's necessary, right? The mind is an extremely powerful tool. It makes many things possible. Yet it's so powerful that it often takes over us. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of rebuttal, but I actually don't believe in ADD. I don't believe in ADHD and all these. I just think it's it's a result of a hyperactive world. And it's the lack of proper skills that causes that. The mind should only be used when necessary. And according to research, it's only necessary about 10% of the time. Also, research has shown that about 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. So most of them are worries, actually, about the future, reliving the past, or doubts. And this is clearly unnecessary because it's not going to get us to where we want to go. The only real moment, again, is now. Escaping now is the cause of much tension and failure. It's escapism. It's the addiction to the external. And, the world's essentially become a bunch of dog tricks and entertainment. It's become trouble in our world. Your normal state throughout the day should be of no mind. That's our natural state. So it's no wonder people are feeling so at ease and depressed. You should really be a watcher, not a thinker. You should watch your mind just as you observe the things outside of you. Start observing your thoughts as well. And this way you cease to be under the control of your mind. You'll stop identifying with mind and then identifying with yourself, the all-knowing being. You start living in the present instead of the past or the imaginary future. And I'm telling you, your tensions will fall away and your success will just blossom. This might all sound a little strange, I know, but I really want to thank you for tuning in. I love bringing new thoughts to hopefully in my hopes, since my brand is Mind, Body, Life, just bring a new perspective into your life. But again, I just want to stress your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect your awareness and your consciousness and your being. So change your being and you change your world, okay? You can change your being in two ways. One way is to simply choose now to be what you wish to be and hold that in your mind. Another way is to act as if you're what you choose to be. So act as it, and then speak as if. Think as if, and sooner or later, your being will turn around and follow suit, I promise. Hey, if you want to know more, if you want to connect with me, I'm on Facebook. Please join my team, Mind, Body, Life. All you have to do is request to be a part of my free group, and I'll gladly add you. I am on LinkedIn as Frederick Entenmann. I'm also on Instagram as Frederick Entenmann. And if you feel like you want to delve deeper and create personal accountability and make an investment in your personal growth this year, I'd be more than happy to speak to you about that and take you on as a coaching client through my consulting services. I am Frederick Entenmann with Mind, Body, Life. I hope you enjoyed episode 8. Have a fantastic day. Take care.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Entenmann host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.